next guest, he is not a large man physically, but he has a Shaquille O'Neal-sized brain and a new project that will delight comic fans around the world, the animated stop-motion series M.O.D.O.K.
You still can't use your mind blast. My dang shoulder! Because it's cool.
There he is, M.O.D.O.K. himself, Patton Oswalt. Hey, Patton.
Jimmy. Hey. How you doing?
I've been dying. You know what? This M.O.D.O.K., I think, like, for somebody my age, knowing M.O.D.O.K., which is this kind of obscure supervillain from Marvel Comics.
Yes.
What year did M.O.D.O.K. premiere?
I believe he premiered in Captain America in 1964. And he's always been one of those bottom rung supervillains. But what I love, what me and my co-creator Jordan Blum love about him is he's aware of where he is in the pecking order of supervillains, and that is part of what makes him so angry. It's almost like he's angrier at the other villains than he is at the heroes because no one's giving him any his props. He's this giant floating 7-dimensional brain, but everyone just, treats him like he's a store brand, so they're like, oh yeah, whatever, M.O.D.O.K, fine, whatever.
Yeah,
and I love that about him.
He's a character that almost seems like they came up with as a joke in a way. The name M.O.D.O.K would never fly today. Like if you pitched M.O.D.O.K, which stands for, what does M.O.D.O.K stand for?
It stands for mental organism designed only for killing. Although my daughter pointed out the other night, technically his name should be M.O.D.O.K.
Yes.
Because the F should be in there. And he's one of those Marvel characters that is clear that it was 5 o'clock and they just said, just think of something really quick. I don't care. We just need to fill these 5 pages, whatever you draw. And then the guy, like Jack Kirby was in a bad mood when he drew it. Like, fuck, you want this? Just drew this giant head with tiny arms. Here, I'm going home. Like you can just feel the anger on the page coming off of M.O.D.O.K. It's so great.
And as a kid reading this comic book, and like when you're a kid, you read Spider-Man, you're like, oh, I can imagine myself as Spider-Man or Iron Man or any of these guys. Did you ever imagine you would be M.O.D.O.K?
No, and not only did I not imagine I'd be M.O.D.O.K, like when I would read Spider-Man, I would go, some of his villains are kind of cool. The Scorpion or Doc Ock. And then every now and then, like, M.O.D.O.K would show up. And by the way, M.O.D.O.K, whenever he shows up in comics, he comes in screaming. He's immediately defeated. So the fact that that's the one that I got to play, it's so, like, but we really leaned into the fact that he's a complete disaster. And like, that's part of the series, which is really fun.
Not only did you make the show, you also co-wrote with your buddy Jason some of these comic books. And I have to tell you,
yes.
I haven't read I don't want to say an adult comic book because I don't think that really exists, but I haven't read like a real comic book that isn't like targeted at 5-year-olds in quite some time. And I really enjoy it. In fact, I got like a little nervous. I'm like, oh, yeah, I could see my wife divorcing me because of this.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun writing the comic because we were able to kind of link him into the bigger Marvel universe. We had a lot of fun with the show.
Yeah.
The idea this is not a slob husband with a long-suffering wife. This is a guy who, in the first episode, the wife's like, "I'm divorcing you. This does not work. I'm leaving," and then that becomes the plot.
Yeah,
it's just really fun.
Yeah, that is. I love what you guys do, and I love stop motion animation too. It is another one of those things that just brings me right back to childhood.
Yes, that was kind of our thinking. We went to Stupid Buddy, the guys who do Robot Chicken at Seth Green's company,
right.
Which is, if you've ever visited Stupid Buddy, it's like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory for geeks. It's every nerdy thing you've ever wanted in one building, and they're all, building these different creatures and environments. And we just love the fact that because M.O.D.O.K was created by Jack Kirby, who is this, really big personality, that it's got to be 3D. It's got to have that same big, loud personality that M.O.D.O.K has.
Yeah, well, yeah, when you're just a head in a can, basically, with tiny little arms, you're probably going to overcompensate.
Oh, that's all he's literally, that's all he can do. His superpower is overcompensation. I just now realized that. That's his basic superpower is overcompensation.
Patton, did you watch 60 Minutes last night?
I did.
Am I?
Yes, I did.
I mean, I can't, I think 80% of our staff had no idea what I was talking about. Am I nuts when I say this is what we should all be focused on right now?
No, listen, I agree with what Shaq said earlier. And by the way, I'm broadcasting. I'm in his pocket right now. I'm in his shirt pocket. But I have never. Here's what is frustrating for me. I've never personally seen a UFO or a cryptid or a ghost or experienced a time shift or anything like that. But I'm very, very open to that existing, and I'm surrounded by people, friends, and family who have seen and encountered UFOs. My dad was a test pilot in the Marines all through the 60s and 70s, and when he was stationed at El Toro, he said pilots, talk to any pilot, they see all kinds of weird stuff up there, but they just don't report it because they don't want to go into a crank file, they don't want to sink. So he said he was on a test flight and he saw a bunch of objects that he said they looked like glowing balls of energy in these round metal cages, and they were keeping track with the jets, and they would do these turns that you couldn't do under those G-forces and would disappear. And when he came down and talked to his base commander and said, "Hey, my squad saw," and the base commander went, "Were they metal cages with energy balls in them?" And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "Do you want to report them?" He's like, "No, I don't." And then the commander just went, "Good, fine," and then walked away.
Wow.
So yeah. I mean, I'm just saying this new what is it called? ATIP. That's the new thing that Congress is doing to look at all these reports.
Yeah.
Are they going to also go back into Project Blue Book from the 70s where they were really going into is all that stuff locked away or what's going on?
Well, I'll call you after the show and let you know what's going on.
Okay. Use my
By the way, speaking about a ball of energy inside a metal cage, I mean, it's M.O.D.O.K right there. That's what your dad was foreshadowing.
Oh, my, wait a minute. Oh, God. It's all happening. This is all coming together. Jimmy, I got to get out of the country. It's all coming together. I got to go.
Patton Oswalt, you can see all the episodes of Marvel's M.O.D.O.K streaming starting May 21st on Hulu. Thank you, Patton. Great to see you. We'll be back with Chase Rice. Hi, I'm Jimmy Kimmel. If you want to see all our latest videos, click the subscribe button. And if you don't, click anyway and close your eyes when they come on.